Today is Sunday, September 7th. Welcome to episode 4 of the In the Huddle podcast. I'm your host, Cain White. If you're listening to this on Monday, September 8th, or Tuesday, September 9th, or whenever, good morning. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your morning. Hope you have a great week. Even if it's on a Friday, I hope you have a great end of your week when you're listening to this. So, I made a Facebook post last week about episode 4, and it being a Northeast Arkansas legend that I was going to have on this podcast. And I had to delay airing episode 4 a few days because of the guest that I was going to have on. That didn't quite work out, and that's fine. And I'm not upset about that. And hopefully this guest that is to be named later, that I'll have them on extremely soon. He's an extremely busy person, and I understand that their schedule is probably a lot more packed than mine. So, not upset about it at all. And so we'll just keep moving forward. So I had to make a little bit of an audible for today's guest. Today's guest, some may consider a Northeast Arkansas legend. I know I do. So excited to reveal who that is here shortly. Since we last talked, since the last episode, the Hoxie Senior High Mustangs have played in 2 games and have a record of 1-1. Got a big win on Friday night, 20-0 over Westside. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll see this new piece of art I've got back there. That's my cover sheet for my special teams call sheet. I'm a special teams coordinator there at Hoxie High School, and so kind of hung that up just as a little token of appreciation. My first win as a part of the Mustang football program, and hopefully there's many more to come. Also back here, got a little drawing, a little portrait of me that someone drew for me out of the goodness of their heart. Kind of says into the Huddle podcast. So not quite the actual name, but I appreciate that drawing. Pretty cool to have a portrait of me on the wall. I've never really had one of those drawn before, so that was a cool gift that I got. So some new things in the background, but been a very interesting weekend in the state of Arkansas. Yesterday, for the first time ever, you had the University of Arkansas Razorbacks and the Arkansas State University Red Wolves playing football for the first time in history. Those 2 programs have played over 200 years of football combined, and Arkansas ended up winning that game 56-14 over the Arkansas State Red Wolves. Tough for me to watch because I'm an Arkansas State alumni, graduated from there, and was very proud of my time there, and still support the university as much as I can. And then, obviously, I was employed previously at the University of Arkansas, and so the outcome was, I guess, good for me either way. Was happy to see how well the Razorbacks played. That's really big for them heading into Ole Miss. And then, Arkansas State turns around. They host Iowa State, who's 3-0 and a potential playoff team. They host them in Jonesboro this Saturday. So that's another big weekend for Arkansas State. Back-to-back weeks, it's huge. And so I think it was good for the state of Arkansas. I think it was good for those 2 teams to play each other. They drew a lot of people to the Little Rock area. I wish it would keep going. I truly wish that game would continue on. I think it's great for our state. So watched every snap of that game, and man, it was just really cool to see the 2 best programs, college football programs in our state, going head to head. So really enjoyed watching that. Other college football games, not quite as exciting as Week 1 when you had the Notre Dame and Miami and Alabama and Florida State, LSU and Clemson, Ohio State and Texas. But we kind of got some answers on who some of the better teams are right now. And, I mentioned Iowa State, I think Iowa State's looking really good. And so watched a lot of football yesterday. Really enjoyed that. And I watched the NFL today while I was game planning for this week's game. Trying to multitask as much as possible. And now here we are getting ready to, or in the process of recording episode 4. So, just little updates on what's going on in my life. Kind of talked about the Hoxie football program. 1-1 start. The junior high Mustangs are 2-0 right now, so really proud of how those guys are playing. Still continuing the 75 hard challenge. Feel really good about that. I believe I'm on day 38, 39. I'm chugging along. I think I'm down 21 pounds, so I feel great. Really enjoying this new challenge, and so I really think that I've created some new really good habits, and excited to see how this continues to develop my mental health and my physical health in the future. I'm reading the book Inner Excellence right now by Jim Murphy. He was a former Major League Baseball player for the Chicago Cubs, and one thing that really stood out to me in that reading was there's 3 things that you can do to reach self-mastery. And those 3 things is become unoffendable, become unembarrassable, and become unirritable. I just thought I would share that with you all today. I think those 3 things are extremely important. To not be offended by people if they say something about you, something that you don't agree with. Don't be irritable when something doesn't go your way, or if somebody's following you too close while you're driving. Let those small things go by the wayside, and then become unembarrassable. That's one that I shared with my students this week. Is I think we all as humans should become unembarrassable, because we get one shot at this. Like I kind of spoke about at the end of episode 3. When God made us, He broke our mold, and so there's only one of us. And so whatever we do, whatever we enjoy, however we approach life, you shouldn't be embarrassed by it. Even if you trip going down the sidelines after a big special teams play, like I've done on many occasions, you shouldn't be embarrassed by that. Shouldn't be embarrassed by your excitement or what you enjoy out of life. So those 3 things, becoming unoffendable, unirritable, and unembarrassable, 3 things of self-mastery. And so just figured I'd share that. Read that this week, and that really hit home with me. And so really going to focus on the unirritable side of things moving forward. And so enjoying that read. It's a tough read. Inner Excellence, that book, it's a tough read. A lot of information about mental health and how to approach situations, but it's definitely a book that everyone should check out. I mentioned in one of my earlier episodes about the Native clothing brand, and threw that up there on the screen, repping this hoodie today. It's super comfortable. Just cool enough today to throw a hoodie on and maybe make some deer chili and have a cup of coffee. So that's a lot of different flavors going on at once. Chili and coffee, but maybe some chili after this cup of coffee. So anyway, enough rambling. I feel like I've rambled long enough. Going into my intro to episode 4. Today's guest, I can truthfully say, is the best friend that I've ever had. I've had many friends from many places, and I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I've had many people in my corner in my 28 years on this earth, but this is my best friend who's ever walked this earth. Super proud of everything that he's accomplished. I've followed him extremely closely through every step of his life. He's a 2023 Division II football national champion. He was the best man at my wedding. But more importantly, he is my little brother. The only brother that I have, the only sibling that I have, and my best friend. So welcome to episode 4 with today's guest, Will Ryan White. We're live in studio here at episode 4 with my little brother, Will Ryan White, the first ever in-studio guest of the In the Huddle podcast. And I think there's no one more fitting to be the first ever in-studio guest. So what's up, little brother? How's things going?
It's going good, man.
Going good. Man, I know that you've had a little bit of a different fall than usual.
Yeah.
You've played football the past 16 years of your life, and now you've reached out into the adult world, and I know it's been a little different for you, but how's that been going for you?
It's different. It's a lot different than I thought it was going to be. This is my first year, being a fan of football instead of, not just playing. So that's a new adjustment. Being able to watch my friends still play football and me not being there with them is a hard adjustment as well. But it's still awesome being able to watch them and being able to cheer them on still.
Absolutely. And one thing that I mentioned to you is you got to play a lot more football than a lot of people usually do. I only got to play until I was a senior in high school, and you got to play 6 years of college ball. So you had a great career, and I know that it's a little bit different on the outside looking in. And even when you go from playing into coaching, it's still a little bit different. You still got that itch to go strap it up on Friday nights, but I'm glad that adjustment's going well for you, and just proud of everything you're doing. So, I talked a little bit about in my intro about the Arkansas State game, and now that's the first time I've ever played. Should that keep going? Should that go by the wayside? What do you think? It's good for the state? Bad for the state?
If they can, I don't think it should be played in Lower Rock.
That's fair.
Absolutely. I know Arkansas doesn't want to play there. It's been said multiple times. I don't think the team wants to play there. I think if they want to keep that going, I think you should, just go across the state every few years.
Right.
Bring Arkansas to Jonesboro, or bring Fayetteville to Jonesboro, and then take Jonesboro to Fayetteville.
That's a really good take, and I think that would be also great for the state. I think that it'd be also for the city of Jonesboro.
Absolutely.
We both love the city of Jonesboro, and I think that that would truthfully be a sold-out game. I think there'd be people standing outside waiting to get in if they played in Jonesboro. Yeah. So a home and home would be definitely interesting.
It would be.
No doubt. So, a quick shout-out to Black Rifles. What is this, Maple Pecan?
Maple Pecan.
Will just brewed us up a couple cups of coffee here. Maple Pecan by Black Rifle. Love their coffee. First time I've had this flavor. So I've got the Food, Football, and Friends Cup. Will's repping the Browns Baker Mayfield Cup. I think it's mine.
It is.
I think it's mine.
Should have gave them a chance more.
The Browns should have.
Should have.
What was the deep reason behind the Browns letting Baker Mayfield go? I mean, he leads them to the playoffs for the first time the Browns been in forever.
Not only he gets a playoff win
in Pittsburgh. Which is really, really hard to do. No matter how talented the Steelers are, for you to go into Pittsburgh and win a playoff game is really impressive. And so I've always been a big Baker Mayfield fan. You know that. Yeah. The listeners might not, but I've always been a big fan of Baker Mayfield. He had a good game today for the Buccaneers.
Absolutely.
So the Browns definitely should have stuck it out with him a little longer.
Yeah.
And I think they would have found some more success.
He had a sophomore slump. And they decided to let him go after that. I don't get it. C.J. Stroud had a sophomore slump last year. He still performed well. He's coming back to the Texans. They're playing right now. Just see how he does this year. Right. You got to give your guys a chance.
No doubt.
I think.
I agree with you. In that sophomore slump, he had a shoulder injury as well.
Yeah, exactly.
He played through it. So,
yeah.
Hate that the Browns didn't give him a little more of a chance, but I think his career is going down the right path, the path it was supposed to.
Absolutely.
And that's, in anybody's life, things might not go the way you want them to, but it ends up working itself out in the right way. So, God is the wind. We just steer the sail ship.
That's right.
The sailboat. So,
yeah.
So, looking back on our time growing up together, obviously we've been extremely close for your entire life. And I've just enjoyed watching you grow up and everything that you've accomplished. This is a question I've never asked you, so I'll put you on the spot.
All right.
Of our lifetime, what's your favorite memory of us just growing up? Just growing up in Arkansas. What's one memory that sticks out to you of ours growing up?
It's got to be you made me tough as nails. You constantly, were beating me up.
Oh.
And that's what a little brother needs. Especially, when I was a little cocky kid growing up, I needed some of that every now and then. So, especially me and you playing video games, I love that. I still play video games to this day. And I remember me and you playing college football 06. That's how I ended up being a Clemson Tigers fan.
Right.
Seeing that paw print. And Truman at the time was using the paw print.
Correct.
They only used it a few years. I remember that, though, and I saw that. That's why I ended up being a Clemson fan. But me and you playing video games was a big one, and riding around on the bad boy buggy.
The bad boy buggy.
Yeah, going up on the hills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We had that was like the first generation of that golf cart.
It was.
And they wouldn't allow us to use it on the golf course for a while, even though it was a battery powered golf cart. Yeah. It was just jacked up in camo.
And nowadays everybody has a jacked up golf cart with some big old wheels.
We set the tone. We were trendsetters.
We did
in that realm of things. Us just growing up together, I think just watching you develop was a lot of fun. And, you being with me on the sidelines when I was going through high school football, those little moments. And then, coming out of us truthfully growing up, I think my two favorite moments are probably these two pictures right here that I've got in the foreground. The one on your side is after you scored 5 touchdowns against Westside, who we beat, this past week at Hoxie to essentially clinch the conference championship, the first one for Truman in a very long time. And then
last one was in 2001.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think it was 2001 and then 2018. When y'all had the time with Rivercrest, and so man, that was super cool. And that's a picture of us kind of embracing there after the game, and just to get to watch you from a very close point of view was awesome. Your senior season, and then obviously when you're at Harding and you win the national championship there, that was a really cool day. This picture over here on the left with our buddies BJ, myself there, and Jordan Blasco and Jonah Haney. Man, what a cool moment. So those two stick out. But,
absolutely.
I think just the day to day, being with you every day and helping you grow up. I hope I didn't beat you up as much as you say I did, but
maybe tough.
Yeah, and I think that was probably a little bit of jealousy on my end. To be honest with you, you were a really good athlete, and people knew that from when you were 5 years old. And I obviously was aware that I probably wasn't the best athlete, and so. I just wanted to see you succeed. Yeah. That's what I've always wanted to do is just see you do the best in everything you do. And so, just the day to day, man, was a lot of fun growing up. We had great parents, and we were surrounded by a lot of great people where we grew up in a great small town. And so, but now here we are, 28 and 24 years old and growing up. And so, of these two moments that I spoke about, winning the conference championship at Truman in 18 and winning the national championship at Harding in 2023. Speak on a few of the little moments. Kind of let the listeners get in the huddle of your experience. So let's start with the conference championship.
Yeah. So it was the 18-19 season.
It was
my senior year. This was the first Truman team to play in the new stadium, so it was a new adjustment for us. We ended up loving that field actually, and it was a great time. We had a really tight knit senior bunch.
Right.
So many good guys that stick out. Jake Taylor Morgan, Cole Bingham, Gunnar Parks.
Right.
Bunch of great guys, still good guys to this day,
of course.
And we had an unconventional style of offense, ground and pound, and being a quarterback, being at that helm, it can be different. It took a great amount of leadership to run that offense
and patience,
definitely. But it was a really special year. We come out week 1 against Hoxie. I'll never forget it, and I feel like I almost had a heat stroke that game. I mean, I was absolutely dead. You were there that game.
Yeah, I was.
And felt like I tried to do everything I could that game to try to get us to win, and we just fell short. And starting out like that for a year in high school was really rough.
It was. You scored 3 touchdowns that game. I mean, I think you're, what happened after the game and how tired you were. And I think you lost like 12 pounds in the game, something like that, which is insane. You scored 3 touchdowns and had your team in the game, and man, that was a good one.
That was a great game,
and one that we've talked about in the coach's office a few times. So, but yeah, and so that was tough to start that season 0-1, but you bounced back, and so go ahead and talk about how you bounced back from that.
Yeah, not only that, that wasn't even the lowest point at the start of the season. We have the home opener against Shiloh Christian.
Wow. And if you're not from the state of Arkansas and you don't know who Shiloh Christian is, Shiloh Christian is located in Springdale, Arkansas, and it's, in my opinion, probably a top 5 Arkansas high school football program in history.
Absolutely.
I truthfully think it is. And they come to Truman for the home opener for this new and RMC Stadium in Truman. It's still this day just a beautiful setting.
Oh, it's incredible.
Beautiful jumbotron. Full size indoor stadium on one end. And so Shiloh Christian, of all people, comes all the way across the state to tiny old Truman to play for the home opener. So talk about that.
We didn't have more than 30 yards of offense that game.
Correct.
I think it was 41-7. Our only touchdown was a pick 6 from Milton Lewis III as a sophomore.
Right.
So you start out 0-2 in your senior year of high school, and it's rough. It can be rough on the mind for sure. It can be rough on the mental. Especially, when it's high school football, some kids just minds aren't in it.
Right.
Their mental can be gone. They can go in the next day, Monday, not think anything about it. when you're as competitive as somebody like me, you know, I'm a winner. That's what I want to do. I want to win. And it hurts. It hurt big time. So you come back week 3 against Paragould, get a good win against them, and then you open up conference against Rivercrest.
Right. Rivercrest, who is, traditionally been a powerhouse in Northeast Arkansas, and just another one of those powerhouses. And, talking about the non-conference play thing, something that I've always preached to my players is high school football, non-conference is unlike any other level of football. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, non-conference means nothing. Yeah. It goes on your record, but you can go 0-3 in non-conference, lose every game by 110, and still go win your conference and still go get a bye in the playoffs or something like that. And so, but in the same breath, they're still big because high school kids, you want to build some momentum, you want to build some confidence. You don't want them to think if they have a slow start that their season's over because. Truthfully, it's not even started.
Exactly.
It's not even started for whatever goal you want to reach. So you go into conference play. If you've got Rivercrest at home who had a few college football players on that roster.
Mylan Brown and Contavious Robinson in the backfield. Probably the scariest backfield I ever played in high school.
No doubt. And so you dropped that one. Mm-hmm. You dropped that one. It was a tough game.
Yep.
Gave yourself a shot there in the second or third quarter to keep it close and didn't quite do it. And I remember the look on your face at the end of that game. I think there's a picture of me and you actually that Anthony Cossey took. And let's stop there. Shout out to Anthony Cossey, out of Truman, Arkansas, by the way. What a fantastic asset to not only Truman, Arkansas, not only to Poinsett County, but all of Northeast Arkansas for taking sports pictures and covering sports in Northeast Arkansas. And one of the best men you'll ever meet.
Absolutely.
Fantastic human. But I think Anthony took a picture of me and you, and I'm kind of looking at you with a scowl on my face, and you were a little down, and I just kind of shrugged my shoulders and said, you just got to keep looking. Mm-hmm. And so from there, that's when things really took off. So talk about how you go from 1-3 to the rest of the season.
You just trust your guys. Like I said, we were a close-knit team. We were a close-knit group of seniors. And even with the juniors and sophomores, we were just all so close together. Right. And that's what's great about high school football. You're playing football with your best friends you grew up with.
Right.
There's no better feeling than that.
No doubt.
There's no better feeling. And the people that are watching you grow up are in the stands cheering you on.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And something fueled the fire for us, and we just kept knocking them off one by one, and I'll never forget that game against Westside. It was probably my second favorite game of my football career.
Right. You score 5 touchdowns and you throw 4 touchdowns, and it's somewhere in my belongings. I've got every single stat of your high school football career. I charted everything.
Yeah.
I want to say you only threw like 9 in your career, or maybe 10, and 4 came in one game.
Yeah, we won in the most unconventional way. Truman football right now, or at the time, was a way to win.
Correct.
And that was by throwing the ball.
Yes, out of the double wing, you don't throw it much.
No, I threw 2 touchdowns to J. Taylor Morgan and MJ Barnes.
Yeah, threw 2 to MJ
Two
Barnes.
Absolute beasts.
Yes.
Played outside linebacker as well. Great defense.
No doubt. That's really good defense.
Yeah.
Had a really good defense. MJ Barnes was also All-State, with you that season, and so that was really cool.
And he got the All-Star game.
And he was in the All-Star game. There haven't been many Truman guys playing the All-Star game. And so for MJ to do that was super cool. I think I'm going to kind of fast forward to rewind here. So you start 1-3, and you go win 6 in a row to essentially win the conference. Yeah, it's a tie with Rivercrest. Yeah. So they get the 1 seed, but it's co-conference champions because you both had 1 loss. Even though it was head-to-head, Rivercrest had the win there, but I started doing something, and I had this in my mind to present you when you graduate high school. Every game, you had a towel that you wore, and I wrote on it, and then I put some tape on the inside and wrote a Bible verse on the inside. And so for those 6 wins in a row, we kept all 6 of those, and we framed them up. And if you're listening and you don't know where that was in our father's house, which was our childhood home, it burnt down in April 2024. But by the grace of God, and if you're not a believer, I'm not sitting here. I'm not going to beat you with the Bible, but this is a God. It was a God thing that survived
Absolutely.
the fire. Because 97% of belongings in that house were gone.
Yeah.
But that made it, and it was right in the middle.
It was right in the middle.
Right in the middle of the hot spot, and that made it. So.
All 6 of those towels.
All 6 of them.
Intact.
So I think the glass broke out,
Mm-hmm.
and the towels are still there.
Yep.
Maybe we should. I would like to go pull those towels out of there and open them up and see the Bible verses I wrote, because I can't quite remember which ones I wrote. Yeah. So, and we'll get that reframed up for you soon. So, so you're all state your senior year in football. You'll win a conference championship, and then. You get the itch to go play college football. When did that itch for you start? When did you figure out, hey, I think I'm good enough and I want to go play college football? When did that start?
Since I played my first down, 4th grade.
Really?
I figured that I wanted to play football as long as I can.
Right.
I want to do it any way possible. Maybe my sights were a little too high, because from middle school to 9th grade, I wanted to be an Oregon Duck.
Right.
I wanted to be an Oregon Duck. Then I kind of realized my sophomore, junior year that that's not going to happen. So, I kind of, started, made myself level-headed and try to find somewhere to go.
Right.
Where I ended up at the end actually, pursued me my junior year. And sadly enough, I showed no interest in them.
Right.
Yeah, right. Which I wish I did, looking back now. But
right. Well, you were very self-aware. You go to all these camps, you perform well. You have conversations with a few Division I coaches, and you go on a visit to Auburn. You go on a visit to Louisiana Monroe and to Tulsa, and so the interest peaked there. And so at the end of the day, it all worked out the way it was supposed to. And so after high school, you go to Tulsa as a preferred walk-on.
Yep.
And so tell me a little bit about that experience, because. We share a lot with each other, but I feel like that's a little bit of a time period that you don't really speak on much. And off the record, which we won't share too much. We were both going through some things, family wise. Had some had some sicknesses in our family, and so what was it like being out there? What was the Division I lifestyle like?
Yeah, it's kind of a static area,
right?
When I go in, that summer I lose one of my best friends,
right?
So I'm already kind of in a weird funk when I get there. And I'm not saying my time at Tulsa was bad.
Right.
I made great friends there.
Friends you still have to this day.
Yeah,
friends that will be on this podcast in the future.
Absolutely.
Yes.
This podcast in the future. Yeah. But it was it was just the wrong place for me.
That's right. That's fair.
And it could be the right place for people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's understandable. And I've been to places that were maybe the wrong place for me. But it still enjoyed my time there. And so, and not necessarily maybe the wrong place for me, but just maybe the wrong time.
Yeah.
And so, I think we share experiences, like you at Tulsa, maybe me at some other places, that just weren't right timing.
Yeah.
But once again, I think this is kind of like beating a dead horse. We talked about this a lot, but it gets you to where you're really supposed to be.
Absolutely.
And so you end up at the college that pursued you when you were a junior in high school. You end up at Harding University in Searcy, Arkansas. You're there for a long time, so we could talk about that for a really long time.
We could.
I feel like we could probably dedicate an entire episode to your experience at Harding. But give us some of the high notes prior to the national championship season. What drew you to Harding, and who really helped you out when you started there?
Who helped me out the most was Coach Matt Underwood.
Really?
Slides, yeah, Slides coach over there. I had an unconventional way of being recruited and, deciding to go play there. My first visit there, Coach Underwood actually requested me to run a 40-yard dash.
Really?
Yeah. It was in the winter. It was right before the spring semester. So semester was starting up in January. I was in the portal from, I want to say, just before Thanksgiving break to December.
Right.
Yeah, so I was still trying to figure out where I wanted to go. And I go down to Harding, I go down to Searcy, and the first thing I see is their big, beautiful, probably the nicest indoor facility I've ever seen in person.
And I can truthfully say that Harding University probably has a top 5 indoor I've ever been in.
Oh,
I coached the University of Arkansas. It's right there on par with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's close.
Yeah.
You know, I've been to Oklahoma's, I've been to Auburn's, I've been to Ole Miss's, and it's close.
Yeah.
It truthfully is. So if you ever find yourself in Searcy, Arkansas, on the Harding University campus, go see that indoor practice facility. It's something special.
Yeah. So I go there. I run the 40 for Coach Underwood. He's like, all right, we got a spot for you.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm like, thank goodness we got to. I'm on the team. You know, walk on. I don't care. I just want to play football.
That's right.
You know, so I go there as a running back, as a slot. You know, I've never done that before. You know,
right.
You know, completely different. And then COVID. You know, they decided to D2 didn't have a season.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's weird. You know.
Yeah, it was.
What do we do for that fall season?
Mm-hmm. I think, I know you came and watched me coach a few times when I was an assistant in Manila that season.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say you sat in the press box with me.
I did.
One time
I did.
while I was at Manila that season. And so, you know, you don't get to play in 19 at Tulsa.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to play in 20 at Harding.
Mm-hmm.
And then so 21 comes rearing around, and then what happens then?
Yeah, so we're in the spring, you know, getting ready for the season. And, you know, I feel some lingering pains going on. You know, I'm not thinking too much of it, and it just keeps getting more and more. And, you know, I'm walking back to my dorm room every day after practice, and I'm hitting the floor, laying down. I'm like, this is the worst pain I've felt, and I'm not even doing anything that crazy. And I need hip surgery.
Right.
Yeah, at the ripe age of 20.
Right.
I get hip surgery, and I'm out for the season again. So my first 3 years of college,
you don't play a snap.
Not only do I play snap, I haven't put the pads on for a game.
Haven't even dressed out.
And
so what drove you through those 3 seasons? And not even, you know, the hip, COVID, redshirting at Tulsa. All we had going on in our family with, you know, our grandparents passing and just a lot of tough times going on. What drove you through that? What powered you through?
All I knew my whole life was football. You know, and I've always said if I have a chance to play, I'm going to try to play.
Right.
And, you know, I thank God, you know, every day for giving me the strength and the willpower to be able to do that.
Right.
And not only that, for him allowing me to be in a place with so many good people.
Right.
I mean, people that I will talk to for the rest of my life. I was in front of so many good role models and best friends I'll still have for the rest of my life.
Right.
That's what kept me going.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, because you take any 3 of those situations, in my opinion, and maybe the average person folds their tent and heads home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think, and so I tip my hat to you on that. You know, the good Lord gives us strength in the right areas and guides us the right way. And so the fact that He gave you that willpower to fight adversity was, you know, thank God that He put those qualities in your body and in your mind. So you're out not only in 19, not only 20, you're out in 21. And then in 21, that's my first year as the head coach at Manila. So you got to come watch me coach a few games.
Yeah.
My first year as head coach there. 22 rolls around. And does anything happen there, or are we good finally?
Well, yeah, so we're gearing up, getting ready for the 22 season. You know, I'm at slot, you know, thinking everything's gonna go good. I'm gonna travel, feeling good. Boom, I get a call from Coach Underwood. Hey, Will, come to the office real quick. Gotta talk to you. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, I'm like, I'm about to get a scholarship raise. I'm about to
pay this man.
I'm about to get paid. I'm about to, you know, get on the bus. I'm gonna travel week 1. Let's go. Will, we're moving you to wide receiver. My heart dropped. We're running the flex bone.
Correct.
Yeah. All my life, all my football career, you know, the ball's been in my hands.
Yes.
You know? And now I'm a wide tackle.
You're a wide tackle.
You're a
wide tackle.
Mm-hmm.
We love the flex bone.
Oh, I love it.
We love the flex bone. Me and you and our father have studied the flex bone for years.
Yes.
Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech, and then Dad adopted it at Truman, and you know we ran versions of it when we were going through high school, and you know we love the offense. I've talked about it on podcasts, but for you, a guy that wants the ball and wants to make a difference, you know, that's not the spot in that offense in that version of that offense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's versions of the flex bone where receivers get it a lot.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson
at
at
Georgia Tech.
You know, I felt like that when I ran it at Manila and Waldron that I, you know, tried to give my receivers as much love as I could.
Yeah.
But at Harding, I mean, you know, your fullbacks, your slot backs, and your quarterbacks are your main components.
You know, Kenny Wheaton, offensive coordinator, you know, they call him the godfather of the flex bone.
Correct.
So he's going to run what he wants to run. He's not going to change anything. It's not going to be vanilla, you know, but it's going to be smash mouth football.
Correct.
And that's what we've done when I was there, and that's what they're still doing to this day.
So you get moved from running back or slot back, not wing, wing.
No.
Sears, we're not wings, we're slots. So you move from slot back to receiver. So then, what's the mental state like going from knowing that you can have the ball in your hands on any given play to, man, I've got to get down here and block them. So.
Yeah, you know, it was hard. I took a really selfish mindset at the start, in which I didn't towards the end, or you know, but at the start I was really selfish. You know, I'm thinking, you know, why is an undersized guy, you know, 5'10", you know, 180 pounds, you know, runs a 4.30, you know, why are we sticking him, you know, out wide just so he can just go block for people?
Right.
That's what I was thinking. But it was the most humbling, and it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever, you know, been able to share.
Right.
You know, I had some great leaders, you know, when I first got moved there. Michael Cindric, Cage City, Jake Madden. You know, those three guys really, really helped me, you know, to really understand what being a flex bone wide receiver is.
Right.
And it's a leader. You know, it gave me leadership abilities that I carry to this day, and I'm so thankful that I ended up, you know, being moved to receiver.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, because not only that is, but we also had some dogs at slot.
Yes, you did.
You had freshman Brady J coming in,
Dog.
who's still killing it. Omar Sinclair,
Dog.
Chauncey Martin,
Dog.
Jalen Spicer.
Oh, dog.
Yeah, I mean, I can keep up Stone Sheffield. I mean, there's so many. Just dudes that can really.
Is Stone also an artist? Have I seen that? Does he do some artist stuff?
Incredible artist.
Shout out to Stone Sheffield.
Yes.
So, you know, you go out wide, and thank goodness you got over that slight bit of selfishness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what really did it for me, what really did the selfishness for me, it's so funny to think about. Coach Underwood tells me I'm wearing number 39 as a wide receiver. I'm like, oh, this couldn't get any worse. I'm gonna look like a bomb out there.
Hey, and if you wear number 39, it's okay.
Yeah,
It's a number. You're on the field. The player makes the number.
Absolutely.
The numbers make the player.
Yeah, and
Tim McCready, they're like normal driver.
Mm-hmm.
Great number 39. Yeah. I don't know a lot of other 39s, but Will Watt was 39 for only one season.
Yes.
So, man, I remember this. I remember your first college touch, and you told me going into the Henderson State game in 2022, hey, if I go in at receiver, I'm getting the ball.
Yeah.
And so I remember sitting in the west end zone on the wall.
Yeah.
And, you know, you go in the game, you get it pitched to you, and I think you're going to the house. And then, man, one missed block or an undercut of a block, and you get tackled. And so I think I asked you this after that game. I want to say every single football game you played from fourth grade until you graduated high school, at some point you had the football in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the truth.
Probably.
If not, I want somebody to find the game where you didn't get the ball in your hands. So then you go, truthfully, 4 years without having the ball in your hand in a game, and it's in a college football game, a big one against Henderson State. So what was that feeling like kind of after 4 years? You finally get to make a difference, even though it wasn't a huge one. How'd that feel going from having the ball in your game in a high school game to having the ball in your hand in a college game?
It's a lot more scary. For sure.
That's fair.
You know, you got a lot bigger program on your back. You know, when you have that ball in your hand. And, you know, I still think of that play to this day. Right. And it breaks my heart that I couldn't do enough for the Harding Bisons that day. It was a funky game the entire time. You know, offense couldn't get going. Right. You know, we had a few things that didn't go our way. But, you know, everything happened for a reason.
That's right. That's right. Y'all lose that game, that kind of knocks you out of the playoff race.
Yeah. Ended up not going to the playoffs that year.
But the next 2 years you do. And so I think you, in my opinion, from an outsider, not really an outsider, but just as a brother, I think that summer, after the 22 season, going into the 23 season, I think something changed in you. And, you go from playing very, very limited snaps on offense in the 22 season and a few special teams snaps to in 23, you end up playing almost every special team and getting, I would say, probably around 20-25% of the snaps on offense. What changed from 22 to 23 for you to allow you to get more snaps and to grow your role?
Yeah, knowing my role.
Oh, that's fair.
Exactly. Yeah, knowing I'm not going to be your starter, and knowing with my speed I'm going to be on special teams.
Right.
So you gotta take where you're going to be, and you got to just focus on that and go at 100% every time. And that's what I did. I took special teams as if I was starting quarterback for Trim.
That's fair.
Be a leader. Be a leader and go as hard as you can every single snap.
And I love that because we had guys like that at the University of Arkansas. Guys that I think that come to mind, Alex Sanford, who's now at Purdue, Isaac Tesla, who's playing for the Detroit Lions right now. He approached special teams that way. And so I've never really heard that from you. And so to hear that from you, that's really cool. For you to be able to expand your role and look at it that way. And I tell my kids all the time, no matter how small or how big your role is, or even when you step on the field in that role, if you don't know what to do, do it at 100%.
Exactly.
Do it at 100%, and that could make up for the lack of not knowing what to do, or kind of put your pride aside.
And that's why Harding's culture is so good.
Right.
We take pride in special teams, and we take pride in bringing energy on the sideline.
Absolutely.
Yes, because if you feel like you're a part of something, then you're going to give it your all.
That's right. That's right.
And that's how Coach Simmons and his staff, takes every single week.
No doubt. So, 2023 season, it starts. You're playing Oklahoma Baptist at home. I believe that's the second game of the season, second or third.
It might have been the home opener.
I think it was the home opener. Because I believe that season I was at every home game. That's the season that I was at Waldron. You take the field on the fifth drive of offense of the game, and I think you kind of know how that drive ended. But tell me about kind of stepping onto the field in an offensive role for the first time, and what happened at the end of that drive.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, you got to know your role, and you got to know you got to take it at 100%. So we're looking at first few plays. Got a few run plays my side. I'm play side blocking, taking the safety. We're in a flex formation, so we're in tight. So I'm blocking the safety. Few plays, and then my number gets called.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about when that ball's in the air, your number gets called.
Well, first off, as soon as I see the play, then I realize it's coming to me. My heart drops into my stomach. I've never been more nervous in my life. I'm like, oh my goodness, this might be it.
Right.
I'm either going to be the happiest I've ever been after this play, or I'm going to feel like an absolute bomb.
Yeah. So that play, your number gets called. Cole Keelan drops back, delivers a dime, and I don't know if there was a defender in the area.
Yeah, there wasn't anybody within 20 yards of me, and that's the scariest place to make.
Because it's like a wide open layup in basketball.
Exactly. It's just you and the ball in the end zone.
And
it's so funny. I'll never. It was the most secure catch I've ever tried to catch in my life.
Right.
I mean, it's right over. I'm on the left side of the ball, and it comes over my left shoulder, and I'm tracking it, and I want to say I took that ball to my left hip just to make sure I held on to it.
Right. You make a mad dash for the end zone. You score your first collegiate touchdown. I had my phone pulled up for every play that you were on the field in case something crazy happened. And in that moment when that ball's in the air and you score, I watch that video from my phone probably on a monthly basis just because of my reaction and seeing you score after the long stretch of tough times that you had, that we had as a family, all the adversity you faced. your first collegiate touchdown was a really special moment for me.
It was such a euphoric moment.
No doubt.
And with all the guys that came up and showed me so much love in the end zone. I'll never forget, Roland Wallace was the first guy to meet me in the end zone, and he almost knocked me over.
Yes.
With how excited he was. Omar Sinclair was there. Blake Cruz was there. It was absolutely incredible. Cole Keelan sprints to the end zone. He's sprinting 60 yards to come give me a hug. Your first touchdown at Harding is incredible. Everybody's showing you love. Your coaches are showing you love. Drew Porter this past weekend got his first touchdown this year, and I could just tell from the pictures and from the video, just how amazing that feeling is. Not only for him, but everybody that's surrounding him, that's supporting him.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I did some digging, after that score, and we'll get into the end of that game in a little bit. But you were only the second person in Truman history to score a touchdown at the collegiate level, and so that's pretty cool.
I didn't even know that.
According to Anthony Cossey's records, in which he helped me with this, he did some deep diving. We believe Scott Brown scored a touchdown in Arkansas State.
Okay,
so awesome.
Yeah,
but for you to be the second, that was super cool. So your first collegiate catch is a touchdown.
Yep.
And then you get your second collegiate catch later in the game, which is also a touchdown.
It is.
And I'm sure you know this, but you were the first Harding receiver in, I want to say, 5 years that had 2 touchdowns in the game.
The last person to do that was Cage City.
Right.
It was in the 21 year.
Okay.
It was when I was hurt.
Okay, so it's 2 years.
But still, he might have been. It was so many years before him.
Right.
I was against ECU. It was Cole Keelan's first start.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Cole Keelan's first start, he throws 2 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop real quick. Shout out to Cole Keelan. He became the winningest quarterback in GAC history.
Absolutely.
Shout out to the Rooster, man. We love some Cole Keelan.
Absolutely.
Cole Keelan was not in my wedding. If you've seen pictures from my wedding, you know that I had 16 guys in the wedding. He was not a part of the wedding, but he did come to my bachelorship.
Yes.
So that was really cool. So and so Cole throws you the first one. Malik throws you the second one.
Yep.
You have another score against Southwest Oklahoma later in that season.
Mm-hmm.
At what point in that season did you look up and think we're going to be a really good football team?
I mean, we can tell from week 1, or even the spring before, how good we're going to be.
Right.
That's just how Harding is.
Yeah.
It really hit us when OBU came to us.
Oh my gosh! You took the next story right out of our mouth.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best days ever.
Yeah.
That's one of the coolest days ever. Your support staff that day was nuts.
Yeah.
You had so many people at that game. That was a sold out crowd at First Security Stadium. They had to bring in portable bleachers.
Yeah, and for those that haven't seen First Security Stadium, it's not a connected stadium.
Correct.
It's not a U shape either. It's just your home stands and you got your away stands.
Right.
But on is it the north end zone?
No, it's gonna be the west end.
Yeah, the west end zone.
Yeah.
You have your rock wall,
mm-hmm.
and people are sitting on it, filled with people.
Yes.
I mean, it almost creates a horseshoe style.
Right.
If you had stands there, it would be absolutely packed. But I love how First Security does that.
Yes.
The rock wall with people sitting on. Your feet
are on the field.
Your feet are on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's where we always sat right there, was that northwest corner of that brick wall.
Yeah.
They bring in the portable bleachers. It's undefeated Washington Baptist, undefeated Harding, number 1 and number 3 at the time in the country.
It was a top 5 matchup, I would say.
And we're all nervous going into that game. I remember this about that day. The weather was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 62 degrees. Town hall type day, perfect day. I'm nervous.
Mm-hmm.
For you, you're probably nervous. Whole squad's nervous, and then you go out and beat them 40 or whatever.
Yeah, it was a great day.
And so I think that was the moment for me. I was like, okay, these guys can play.
These cats can ball.
These cats can ball, and they're gonna have a good season. So you go on. You score 3 touchdowns in the regular season. You've got 7 or 8 tackles on special teams.
Mm-hmm.
Your role is expanded.
Mm-hmm.
You finished the season undefeated.
Yep.
You had a little bit of a minor injury there that kept you out of half of a game or so.
Yeah, it happened against Monticello.
Ain't nothing more evil.
We ain't nothing more evil than the bowl.
In the bowl week.
Man, it was a freeze call.
Right.
If they jump, we're snapping the ball.
Free play.
Receiver is running the go route. And I can't believe I did this. So Cole throws me a ball. It's like 4 yards out of bounds. And I'm not even near the ball, and I lay out. And I absolutely eat it on my right hip.
Right.
And that, I'll never forget in the film, you can see me try to get up and fall back down and just punch the grass. It's such a funny film clip.
No doubt.
It is.
Funny film clips are the best.
Oh, they are.
So, watching film at the University of Arkansas, watching film in my high school days, a couple that stand out. We're watching Missouri play. Oh my gosh! I want to say they were at home, maybe like Connecticut. It was a non-conference game. It was something weird, and their kickoff guy kicks one out the back of the end zone, and the return man of the opposing team, which once again I hate that I can't remember what team it was, but the ball hits the crossbar. And then deflects and hits the returner in the back of the head, and he goes to the ground. So obviously it was a dead ball.
Yeah,
that was kind of funny. Me and my boy Austin Williams had a funny film clip moment this past weekend. We recover a pooch kick against West Side, and we sprint in the same direction towards each other, and we're celebrating and kind of looking at the field, and we come about 2 feet from hitting each other full force. We probably would have knocked each other out. But
one of my favorite film clips was my senior year against Pocahontas.
Okay. Yo, my gosh, this is a great one.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, first of all, eerie day.
Very. Weird vibe.
For those that don't know Pocahontas football.
Correct.
I want to say it was their homecoming or senior day. And
they had just made the renovations to their Schoonover Stadium.
And if you're playing small town high school football, you think it's huge.
7,000 people is what it looks like.
Yeah. You're walking the field and it's quiet.
Extremely quiet. Drizzling.
Yeah, and Pocahontas always sells out a crowd.
Right.
Yeah. So then again, it's raining the whole entire game.
And they were good.
Oh, they were good.
And Devin Adams, who played at Henderson State.
Yep. Yeah. The special teams got for Henderson State as well. I get the interception on our sideline.
Yes.
And you at the time were volunteer coaching for us.
Correct.
And you assistant water boy. I
Correct.
guess you always had two water bottles.
Glorified trainer.
Yeah. And you sprint to me and you're spraying that water everywhere. And I can't feel it because it's raining, but you can see it in the clip. It's so funny.
Also on that clip, not only am I spraying the water, but the line judge on that side runs to say that you intercepted the ball and slips.
Yes.
And keeps his feet.
That's right.
So double funny clip on that one.
Yes.
So you punch the turf there, you kind of get banged up, but y'all finished the season undefeated, going to the playoffs, and you go through the absolute Division II football gauntlet. You go through the gauntlet in the playoffs. Talk about those first couple of home games in the playoffs and that feeling.
Yeah. First of all, we get the first round bye. We're the 1 seed.
Correct.
So I remember we went to a friend's house. We went to Levi Pate's house. Him and Landon Ray, they have a house together. 2 dogs on the O-line that year. And we're watching Henderson State play Central Missouri.
Okay.
We're thinking, we're about to watch some good, playoff football because this is who we're going to play.
Correct.
In week 2 of the playoffs. And Central Missouri brings an offense like no other.
Correct. 5
wide. Zach Zabrowski at the helm.
Harlan Hill winner, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
2-time.
2-time Harlan Hill winner.
2-time back-to-back.
The Harlan Hill, if you don't know, is the Division II Heisman Trophy.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Onward.
Yeah. They're going to throw the ball 60, 65 times a game.
Right.
He's going to have 400 or 500 yards passing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're watching him and that offense gash that Henderson State defense.
Right.
And we're thinking, oh my goodness.
Not good.
No. Because they're in the MIAA as well.
Which is a conference.
Which at the time was quote unquote the SEC of Division II.
Correct.
So we're thinking, okay, we have got to lock in.
Lock in or get locked out. That's my new favorite quote, by the way.
Mine's get right or get left.
Same, but different.
Yes.
Same, but different. Onward.
Yeah. So UCM comes to us, and if you could, create the Miami Hurricanes versus Notre Dame Fighting Irish,
Catholics versus convicts
yeah,
in the 80s.
Yeah. If you could kind of balance that, that's what you would find with Harding versus UCM.
That's a fair statement.
That's what I think. Those guys came out. Oh, they were mouthy. They had the right to. They were ballers.
Right.
And that was the most. We go up 2 scores late.
Right. And they come back.
Yeah. We thought we had the game sealed.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I have to leave that game, if you remember correctly.
That's right.
Taylor and I have to go to a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I've got it tuned in on the radio. I think I leave after y'all go up 2 scores.
I'm getting stressed just thinking about it.
And I'm like beeline for Byhalia, Mississippi from Searcy. And we've only got about 2.5 hours to make this wedding. Mm-hmm. Very important wedding. Madeline Valentine, now Madeline Trail, great family friend. Mm-hmm. Me and Taylor, we're beelining it. And I'm listening to the radio, coverage of the game, and so Central Missouri scores twice to, in essence, tie it up, and then you block the, not you physically, but Harding blocks the extra point to tie it.
Great roommate, Gage Price.
Shout out Gage Price, Hamburg, Arkansas.
Yes, now the defensive line coach at Conway.
Hey, then we'll ruin the Wampus Cats for what a mascot, the Conway Wampus Cats. Mm-hmm. Great Arkansas high school mascot.
You could have a whole nother episode about just high school mascots.
We could. Hey, maybe instead of the question of the day segment, maybe we should quiz each other on Arkansas high school mascots. But so Gage Price blocks the extra point for Central Missouri to tie it. You end up winning that game, and then you turn around and you get Grand Valley State.
What, quote unquote, the blue blood of Division II football.
Arguably, you could say they're the Alabama or Georgia of Division II football.
Quick side note about D2 football. I was able to witness D1 football and D2 football.
Correct.
The talent level is not very much different.
It's not.
It's not. It's size and it's maybe speed.
Right.
But the talent is there.
And funding, which is not that's
funding.
That's an off the field thing.
Funding's probably the number one thing.
Right. And in my opinion, the higher you go of levels of any sport, not just football, the higher level you go, the more the competition gap closes. Mm-hmm. Obviously, 7th grade football, if you've got one good player, the competition gap's going to be extremely wide. Yeah. And the higher you climb, the gap closes. And so I don't think that gap between D1 and D2 football is as big as people think. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of D1 talent that were on your teams at Harding.
The first person that comes to mind when I think of skill, and how it's, it can be a size thing is Clark Griffin.
Oh my gosh. A fantastic linebacker for Harding University over the past 4 years.
He was a walk-on at Alabama. And he's going to be a 4-time all-conference guy at Harding. Yeah.
And I think he's at least a 2-time All-American.
Don't quote me on it, but
got to be up there. But so the blue blood of D2 Grand Valley comes to Harding.
Yep.
And it was the biggest, I guess, misread on a game that I thought. I thought it was going to be maybe a higher scoring game, and you win that game 7-6. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, that game was maybe the national championship. I think that game was the national championship.
It was.
And it was played in Searcy, Arkansas. Yeah. Nobody really knew at the time.
Yeah, nobody knew. We go down 6-0 at halftime.
Correct.
They banged 2 field goals early. And we just do what Harding football does best.
Never panic.
Never panic. We're going to put our head down and we're going to go ball. Shout out Harding defense that game.
No doubt. Mm-hmm. No doubt. I use that quote, never panic, a lot in my coaching, off of, how Paul Simmons says that a lot. I think that's a huge point of emphasis for any football team, is to never panic when you go down.
Never.
There were times when I was at Manila, we go down 6-0 against East Poinsett County, and we go on to score 41 unanswered. We go down 12-0 against Harrisburg, and we score 30 unanswered. Yeah. And that's what I told the kids. I took a timeout at the end of both of those drives. The guys, don't panic. No. We're fine. Yeah. You guys stick together. We're good. So that's what you guys did that game. Is you didn't panic. You score one late. And in my opinion, and once again, I've watched probably every snap of football you've ever played. Yeah. It's not my favorite moment of your football career or your biggest moment or your most glorifying moment, but I think it was the most important play that you made as a football player was on that ensuing kickoff. Grand Valley's got a little bit of a lane on the left side. It was a field return, and you chase it down from backside and make a shoestring tackle. Not saying he scores, but it's going to give him some good field position.
Yeah.
You made a tackle right there late in the game, and so that was pretty cool that you got to help cap off that big win.
Yeah, it was great day. Incredible day. It's almost one of those days that's almost a blur, but just because of just how wild it was. A 7-6 ball game in college football is almost unheard of nowadays.
Absolutely with the style of play that goes into it nowadays, it is dang near unheard of. Then you go into the semifinal game of that 2023 season. You're sick of the dog.
Oh my gosh.
So, okay, what exactly was wrong with you? I just remember I kind of left you alone on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, because I know you were locked in.
Yeah.
And I remember you texting me and said, brother, I don't know if I'll get to play. Don't even come because I'm sick, which it's the national semifinal. I'm coming to that game, bro.
Yeah.
Me and our good buddy BJ here, we went to a St. Louis Blues game the night before. You remember that?
That's right.
Shout out to the Blues.
Yeah.
And then we came down to Harding to watch you play Lenore Ryan in the national semifinals. That game's on ESPN. I mean, I'm not missing that.
Yeah.
So what was exactly wrong with you?
Yeah. So that Friday night, I can't remember what I ate. I can't remember what it was, but I am just throwing up pots and pans.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, it's like 12, 1, 2 in the morning, and I didn't want to wake up Blake.
Right.
Blake Dela Cruz be back.
Big role. Pretty big role on that team.
Yeah, pretty.
As in carries the ball that 25, 30 times a game.
And didn't have a negative rushing attempt.
Incredible. That's got to be the most impressive football stat in history, in my opinion. This guy carries the ball, and don't quote me on this. I wish you were producing this too, so that you were in the background so you look this up. He has close to 200 rushing attempts in the season, and not one of them was for negative.
Not one.
And so you don't want to wake your roommate up. He's got to get ready.
Yeah, I mean, he's also the nicest guy I've ever met.
Oh,
yeah.
What
yeah. So. Our bathroom connected to his room. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going outside.
You went outside and threw up?
Yeah, I went outside and threw up, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I did that.
Good guy, Will.
Yeah, I had my hoodie on. It was cold. And, oh my goodness. All right. And then that morning, I'm texting Coach Tucker, Cameron Tucker. I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to play today.
Right.
Not that my role was huge.
But you did have a role, and you were going to have to play in that game.
Yeah. So what happens is, I end up dressing. I'm on special teams. Coach Tucker comes to me. He's like, look, I know you are flushed out. You can't do that. Like you were weak. He's like, don't worry. I'm not going to put you on offense today. I have 3 receivers in front of me: Roland Wallace, Dane Romberger, Darius Brown. Three of my best friends. All 3 of them get hurt. Enter Will White. We dressed 4 receivers.
Correct.
So I'm the 4th guy, and I had to play on offense.
Get you some of that.
Yeah, and I did get some.
You did, and so you get some in two different ways.
Yeah.
On one, I can't remember the guy's name, but I do know he was an All-American middle linebacker.
Yeah.
And I think it was your first, second rep. You absolutely planted. You planted, man. It was a great block. And then I think maybe the next kickoff, you get double teamed and thrown into the 6th row of the bleachers.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that felt good.
And I'm just sitting there laying up looking at God, I get it, man. You got humor today.
You win some, you lose some.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some.
But winning that day was the Harding Bisons of 55-14, throttling in the national semifinals.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that it was cold. There was a call for snow on that day, on Wednesday of that week. Mm-hmm. There was like a 60% chance, and it ended up randomly warming up to mid-50s.
It might have been 60 something.
Might have been 60s, but I remember that night it was cold because we went to St. Louis, went to the Blues game. It's like in the 20s in St. Louis. And so, and then I remember in those pictures after the game, you're so sick that there's a group of us standing behind you. You're just sitting crisscross applesauce. Yeah. You don't want to get anybody else sick. Yeah. And then that leads into the national championship, and I'm gonna go quiet for as long as I need to. Tell me that experience that weekend in McKinney, Texas, the national championship.
Not only a weekend, it was a week.
Right.
We ended up leaving the Wednesday before, to go to McKinney, and like I said, not as much funding in D2 as it was for D1, bowl games. But it was such a great time. We ended up going to this bowling alley on Thursday or Friday. I want to say Thursday, and we're all, Harding football is the brotherhood.
Right.
That's what they've called it for I don't know how long, and it couldn't be more of a true statement.
Right.
I mean, the camaraderie you have with those guys is incredible. From your scout team guys to your head coach.
Absolutely.
Everybody is as tight knit together as possible.
And that's huge in any program. I said I was going to go quiet.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So we have a great day together there. I'm staying with Darius Brown in the hotel, one of my best friends. And it was such a natural time. Like we weren't nervous at all. We just knew we were just going to go. It was a business trip, but we were still having fun. We knew what we were going to do from the very start of the season.
I can't be quiet, so I've got to say this. I think Coach Simmons, the best thing that he said it on a podcast the week of the national championship. We're not nervous because we get to go play another game together. That's a blessing. Yeah. And so that I think that mindset that he drilled into you guys, I think that was key into what went on in that game. So go ahead.
Yeah, and the Friday night team meeting before the game, I'll never forget this. Trayvon Bigelow, Coach Bigelow, the line coach, he's talking to everybody and he's saying, and it's such a good quote. He's like, we get to pick up and we get to carry our cross tomorrow.
Oh yes, absolutely.
We get to honor God doing what He blessed us to do
on one of the biggest stages in football in the world. I mean, that's a national championship at any level is a huge
and
stage.
if you really go through life, that mindset of carrying your cross, you're unstoppable.
Absolutely,
because you're coated in the blood of Jesus.
That's right. And
there's nothing more powerful than that.
And I think that leads to the no nerves thing.
Yeah.
And I remember you were loose. We didn't get to talk to you much, when we got down there.
No.
But you were loose. You felt good. So what's the night before like? You're getting ready to go to sleep. Is it like the night before Christmas? Like you know that you're not just standing on the sidelines of a national championship. Mm-hmm. You're going to be on the opening kickoff of a national championship. What's going through your mind and your body at that time? That the night before, as you lay your head on your pillow.
That I'm getting the opportunity to be on the biggest stage I've ever been on, and what a blessing!
That's awesome.
Yeah, me and Darius Brown. Before every game when we were in a hotel, we'd watch an action movie together. We watched Extraction 2 that night.
Wow.
Yeah, and we were fired up. We're cutting up, laughing, what a way to, just keep your nerves at bay, and just chilling with one of your best friends right before the biggest game of your life.
We get to the stadium really early, and, I wanted to watch you warm up. I wanted to watch you stretch. That's just a big brother in me. And so me and my buddies, pictured here, we get there extremely early, and it's kind of like, man, there's just not a whole lot of people here. And then at kickoff, there's 30,000 plus, easy.
It's what it feels like,
right? And
I actually think that stadium holds somehow it only holds like 12.
Oh, surely not, right?
Let's correct me if I'm wrong.
Let's say somebody looked that up. McKinney ISD Stadium.
Yeah, but not only the Harding faithful, but the Colorado School of Mines faithful brought it that day as well.
Oh my gosh, they sure did. And so it was a true house vibe. You had the Harding people on one side, and then you had the Colorado Mines people on the other. And there was not an empty seat. Somehow we got on the first row, which was fantastic. And so opening kickoff of the D2 National Championship. Surely that 15, 20 second window before. Try to break down that as much as you can. What was running through your mind?
Yeah, so Coach Tribble gets his unit. Special teams coach at Harding. If y'all didn't know, Coach Luke Tribble. Shout out Coach Tribble.
Oh
yeah. Gave me the mindset to make that my dude.
Right.
Take it at 100% special teams. And I'm glad he gave me that opportunity. And our athletic trainer Eric Myers always comes around with smelling salts right before. If that wasn't the biggest adrenaline boost I've ever felt in my life, I don't know what is. I want to say I ran like 36 miles an hour down that kickoff just for a touchback. Just knowing it was a heavy wind. I mean, Magnus probably kicked it through the upright.
Right. They did not return a single kick that day.
No.
You had no chance of tackling because you're kicking with the wind, and it's going out the back of the net. Crazy wind day.
Oh.
Upwards of 20 mile an hour gusts easy.
Great day for Harding offense.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you're kicking into the wind, it's just a sky kick,
a
pooch kick, and so you're not getting a chance to make a tackle. But I remember, that open kickoff, you're running off the field, and somehow your eyes whip, and we make eye contact, not necessarily me and you, but our row, and you were just like fired up out of your gills, man, pumped out of your gills, and man, maybe the most complete game that y'all played that year was in that game.
Yeah,
and 38-7.
Yeah, well, I mean, they get the ball first, and they
march it right down.
Yeah, Matoka and crew start, slicing and dicing, and we're like, okay, here we go.
Let's play ball.
Let's play some ball. And offense locked in that day. Defense played out of their mind that day.
Had to have 8-9 sacks on Matoka. Something.
Dre Hall, Nate Wallace, Gage Price, Wesley Coleman, Tyrell Johnson. I mean, those guys.
They put on a clinic.
That day.
True clinic. And, y'all.
Hayden Pierce. I mean, he was out the whole season.
He was out the whole season and played with a club on his hands.
National championship. Had a great game.
And so, as the clock's winding down, you know that you've gotten close to reach talk about the feeling.
Yeah, first
I think I've just kind of asked you about feelings a lot.
Yeah, and it's great to talk about feelings for football because that's what it is. It's your feelings and emotions. And Coach Simmons did one of the best things I've ever seen a head coach do. Is there was a minute? That might have been 52 seconds on the clock, and we had a timeout. He calls that timeout.
And the game's in.
He knows
you're up 30 yards. You're up 30 yards.
Calls timeout. He brings all of us together, every single player. He says, "Turn around and go to those stands." He says, "Go down that line and thank every single person that came here and supported you."
With time on the clock.
With time on the clock.
So that's got to be at the point where you make an absolute beeline straight for us.
Yeah.
And I've got that clip on my phone. There's probably a bunch of clips that I've got that I should clip into this episode. But you make a beeline straight for us. I'm like hoarse out of my mind. I can barely speak.
Yeah.
I'm crying. You come straight. We embrace. You and Mom embrace.
Mm-hmm.
What was that like?
Once again, one of the most euphoric feelings of my life. Not only knowing I'm about to be a national champion, but I'm doing it with my best friend, with my mom, with my dad, and with all my teammates.
Yeah, that's super cool.
And being able to do that all under God's watches was absolutely incredible.
Well, you definitely honor God and your teammates. You all honor God. You did it the right way. Play the game the right way. And then so after the national championship, what a great feeling. You go into your senior year, and I don't think I want to talk about this as much. I think it kind of makes us both a little emotional, but you have a little bit of a letdown of the season, I guess.
Yeah.
Not you per se, but just the program.
Yeah.
Still a great year. It's a great year by any measure of football. You win 10 plus games, you go to the playoffs.
Yeah. You run into a tough Bear State dynasty.
Yes, who ends up winning the national championship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I know that there was a lot of little moments in your senior year that you enjoyed. Caught 2 balls against Pitt State in the playoffs, and Pittsburgh State is another one of those blue bloods in D2.
Yep.
So, home of our good friend Chad Arnett. I know Chad listens to every episode, so got to ball out in Chad's hometown.
Sure did.
So,
what a stadium as well. Their student section is right behind the visitor sidelines.
Oh my gosh!
So there were
just like Missouri, which we'll talk about that in a second.
There were things that we can't even say on this podcast that was being thrown out to everybody.
I'm sure.
And we come out that day a little flat. We started a little flat. I want to say they might have scored first, and we're starting to figure stuff out, and we start rolling, and they get quieter and we get louder.
Right.
And it was just such a good feeling.
My good friend Dylan Ward, who's coaching at Waldron High School, anytime that there was some smack talk going on or some expletives being thrown around, he always said, "Let them do your worst, you do your best."
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the mindset I guess you had in that one. And the next week, you go to Grand Valley instead of hosting Grand Valley in Searcy. Talk about completely opposite weather days.
Yeah.
First game you ever played in the snow.
Yep.
And the first game that I've ever played or coached in the snow.
Yeah.
In two separate, areas of the world. You're in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I'm in Columbia, Missouri, and it's just snowing its butt off in both places.
Didn't stop, and we still, the Harding Bison still think to this day that they didn't, plow off the snow in the first half to throw us off. That's what we thought happened, because in the second half, it was a completely clear field. But at the very start, it was covered in snow.
Which probably helped y'all out in a way.
And it did.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. I mean, you're going to run the football. You're going to play smash mouth football, and the snow, the elements help that.
Yeah.
Any time that I was a head coach and there was rain in the forecast or it was cold in the forecast, I loved that because I knew that we could control the football and we weren't going to throw it around and make it sloppy. So, that was a cool day. I remember driving from the hotel in Columbia, Missouri to Faroe Field there to coach in that game against Missouri, and I'm watching that game on the bus on ESPN. You made a tackle on kickoff. I got to see that right before I had to get dressed.
Yeah.
So that was super cool. And then obviously the next week you go to Ferris State, who's the eventual national champions. And I was blessed. Extremely blessed that I got to go to that game.
Oh, absolutely.
And, you have no coaching at the University of Arkansas was. I told someone on Friday night one of the coolest experiences of my life. There were things that I missed out on, and I spoke on that in previous podcasts. And I think missing out on, I think it was 12 of the 14 games you played your senior year was tough on me.
Yeah.
I only got to go to 2, but knowing that I got to watch your last collegiate football game. Me and my good buddy Jonah, your good buddy Jonah, we flew up there. We met Mom up there, and we got to go, watch you play your last collegiate game. And even though your college career was over there, it was still a blessing to get to be there for the quote unquote end of that chapter of your life.
Yeah.
But once again, you got to climb a mountain that many people get to climb, and so. Of that feeling of it that it's over, or you think it's over for the time being. How'd you handle that?
Yeah. Life comes at you fast.
Yeah.
You got to. Once you think you're done, you have to get into the real world, man. Right. Not that football is not the real world, but you have to. You're around 100-something guys doing the same exact thing.
Right.
And now you're on your own.
Right.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I'm applying for jobs. Graduated with a master's in information systems. I'm looking for jobs in that field. Had an interview at State Farm in Memphis to be an insurance agent. I'm scrambling, looking for something. Even thought about coaching.
Right. But then you get the itch.
Yeah.
You get the itch to do something that you consulted me a lot on, and I'm glad you did what you did. You gave it a shot at the pros.
Yeah.
You go to a pro day.
Yeah. There was a pro day in Arkadelphia where OVU plays, and the reason I was so hesitant on going was because of my role in college.
Right.
I was thinking, how are my fellow former teammates, coaches, and even friends are going to look at me? What are they going to think that I'm trying to, take a shot at pro football when I was a backup receiver for the flex bone in Division II and a special teams guy?
Right.
What are they going to think that I'm going to go try to go play pro football?
Right.
That's what was holding me back the most.
Right.
Was my thought process of how other people thought of me.
Right.
And which could have been further from the truth.
Right. Right. And that's kind of the thing that I talked about in my intro is we should become unembarrassable.
Yeah.
We shouldn't think about what are people going to think of me if I do this. We get one shot at this thing, and so we shouldn't be embarrassed by it or worried about what other people think about it. Yeah. And so you kind of asked me about it. I was like, freaking go for it, bro. Freaking go for it, and you did. And so talk about. obviously it didn't quite work out.
No.
But talk about, the feelings of you're just kind of doing this just to say you did it.
Yeah.
And then it turned into something that kind of was, it wasn't kind of real. It was real.
Yeah. First off, I had a great support system. I had you, I had Dad, and really my biggest support system, or who was in my group, was Mom.
Right.
I'm living with her.
Yeah.
I'm working a part-time job at the golf course. Making minimum wage, not paying rent. And I was just trying to make her see that I'm trying to make this a real thing.
Right.
And luckily enough, she understood that.
Right.
And I'm so thankful for that.
Absolutely. We've got a great mom.
Yeah,
we've got a great dad.
Yeah. She's got a great family, man.
Yeah.
And yeah, so now when I know she's fully on board, I'm 100% committed.
Right.
Yeah.
And I tell, and not to take away from you talking about Mom, but
yeah.
When you said this on day one, I said, okay, well, I'm driving you to it.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'll take a day off work. I will drive you to this
Yeah.
thing. And so, and you did have a good support system, and I know there was a lot of other people that supported you through it as well. And so just kind of continue on talking about that process.
Yeah. So I'm training it at the Sherman Indoor every single day.
Right.
By myself. That can be hard.
Right.
Finding self-motivation can be extremely hard in times like that.
Right.
When it's just you, weights, in the field.
Right.
It can be hard.
And trying and training for a shot at pro football. There's no, there's no how-to manual on it.
No.
There's a bunch of different ways people do it.
Yeah.
People have trainers, and so it being just you.
Yeah. And I had some other teammates that were, training for it, and I saw they had their trainer places. They were in Dallas, Houston, places like that. And I thought, I was kind of behind the eight ball a little bit, doing it by not only am I doing it by myself, but I'm already at a disadvantage with my on the field, statistics.
Right.
Didn't have any, really.
Right.
So I'm training, I'm feeling good, feeling fast. I go there, I go to OBU. Long day.
It was a long day.
Long day.
You and I had a long day.
Yeah, drove in from Hot Springs, got there a little too early.
We did, but we were prepared.
Yeah.
I guess, we and you didn't have the best, temporary agent with you, but I tried to help you through the high school to college process, and I kind of knew how that works.
Yeah.
I had no clue how the college to pro process worked. And so I drove the car and stood back. I didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
So it turned into a long day.
Yeah, but it was a great day.
It was.
I mean, I want to say it was probably one of my better, displays of my physical abilities that day.
Right.
Yeah, you start out first off, we started out with the height and weight, and I somehow got measured at 5'8". Everybody was getting measured short that day.
Right.
And, Kyle McDonald was there. Absolute unit of a guy. Safety, absolute baller, extremely athletic. He's 6'1", 6'2". He's getting measured at 5'11".
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God.
I stand out with Kyle, and
Yeah.
I'm truthfully 6'2".
Yeah. He's getting measured under 6 foot, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what am I about to get measured? And this is in front of NFL scouts.
19 NFL scouts.
Yeah. They got the pullovers on with the logo on, and I'm in there with all those guys, absolutely nervous as can be. And I hear my height, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Right. These guys are going to want nothing to do with me. So we go do bench press.
Great performance there.
17 reps.
225 pounds.
225.
Body weight of what?
I was 185 at the time.
Pretty impressive.
Felt good. Had a good vertical. I want to say it was 38.
38.
Yeah, probably about that. 10 plus broad jump.
Right.
And then we get to the 40. We really didn't figure out what I ran.
Unofficially, your fastest laser time is a 4:27, I believe, correct? That's your fastest official laser time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, the stopwatches and all that stuff they had down there, I heard somebody say you had a 4:25. I heard somebody had you at 4:41.
Yeah.
I mean, so it was kind of all over the place.
Yeah, so no telling what they had us at. And then after that, all the scouts come together. They're making a cut.
Right.
And I want to say that process took 30 minutes. And
the scouts told you up front, correct, that, hey, guys, we're going to get your measurables, and some of you are going to go home.
Yeah.
And the dream's over.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
yeah,
they get to the cut process, and
I want to say they brought, what was it, 9 guys?
9 guys.
9 guys. I can't remember how many dudes were there.
I think there was 30 or 31.
Yeah, there's 9 guys, and I got my name called.
The only receiver they got called as well.
Yeah.
So you got to do some field work and in front of, truthfully, with all 19 teams on you, with their eyes on you, and so talk about was that the point where you're like, okay, this is possible?
When I heard my name called, I was like, all right, let's lock in. You have a shot at this.
Right.
Let's lock in.
I think that was the moment for me. I was like, okay, I think that's when he thinks that this is going to be worth the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because I was really banking on my speed.
Right.
And they saw it, and then they wanted to see what I could do, out wide.
Right.
Ball in my hand. And all that happened, dropped a few balls,
Right.
Sucks. But I made some good plays, and I ran some good routes, and it's over. I'm shaking all the scouts' hands.
That was one thing that impressed me with you the most. I didn't tell you to do this. No one told you to do this. You were the only person at that pro day that did that. You essentially stopped the pro day without knowing it. You went and shook every scout's hand. What led you to doing that?
I was so thankful for the opportunity.
Right.
Those guys came together, and they took my name, and they said, let's give this guy a shot. We're gonna take our time and we're gonna invest it into him for a little bit.
Right.
For 15, 20 minutes. And, I think that's so respectful.
That's absolutely.
So I had to show them some respect.
Right. And then you had, they got a couple of scouts come talk to you one-on-one.
Yeah. The Jacksonville Jaguars scouts said a few things to me, made me feel good. The Saints scout talked to me a little bit. He was kind of one of the main guys that was running the whole thing.
Right.
He ended up giving me his card. Extremely, extremely awesome moment.
Right.
Felt really good about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was so happy getting that card. I'm taking pictures of it, sending it to my friends. I'm like, oh my God, look at all this. Look at me, I'm going to the NFL.
And so you land an agent a couple weeks later.
Yeah.
I'm
so thankful for Matt for
taking a chance on you.
Taking a chance on
you. And, you get called by the Miami Dolphins. What they called your cell phone? What?
Yeah, so it's insane actually. They weren't the first people to call. The first team to call was the Denver Broncos.
Right.
They called Coach Underwood, I think, asking about me. And I remember I just brushed my teeth and I got a call from Coach Underwood talking about that, and I'm like, oh my goodness.
I think everybody in our circle.
Yes. And then it might have been a week or two. But quick side note: after I got the call from the Denver Broncos, that's when I knew it was real.
Right.
But I'd already accepted a job at Big River Steel.
This is true.
Yeah,
this is true.
I was going to work the warehouse job at Big River Steel. For those that don't know, it's a big steel mill out here in Northeast Arkansas. And that was the Friday before my first job.
Yes.
My first day.
Yes.
And I'm in a bind. I'm like, okay, do I completely dedicate myself to football, or do I go work 12 hours a day and try to fit it in?
Right.
So I called the guy that interviewed me at Big River, saying, hey, can you just push back my start date a month? Right. All I need is a month, because I'll figure out everything after the NFL draft.
Correct.
They were like, yeah. They filled the position.
That happens.
So once again, I'm unemployed.
Unemployed, but you're still actively trying to live your dream.
Yeah.
I remember you called me. I'm on the golf course, and you're talking about this, kind of stalemate you're in, what to do, and once again, I've never been through that. I think I could give you advice on almost everything that you've been through in life, but that one, I didn't really have a straight answer for you.
Yeah.
I have no clue. So, talk about the next couple of weeks and how you were feeling.
Yeah. Buffalo Bills ended up calling Coach Tribble, asking about me. Once again, I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to go play football with Josh Allen. Let's freaking go. And then I'm I'm training one day at Truman. I'm doing sprints outside. I'm doing some type of work outside, and I get a 305, area code number.
It was Mr. 305. It was Pitbull.
It was actually Pitbull himself. Yeah.
He sang Fireball too.
Yeah. And it was a Miami Dolphins scout. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's happened. It's happened.
How surreal.
We're talking. He's like, hey man, reaching out, just letting you know, we're looking at you. We like what we see out of you. Keep your phone close to you. We're going to reach out to you again soon.
Right.
I'm like, all right, awesome. I message it to my agent. What just happened? He gets back in contact with that guy. When the draft comes around, we're at your in-laws' house.
Correct.
Yep.
Crawfish boil.
Yeah.
Great day.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
For some.
For some.
Yeah. I'm sitting there. Nervous as can be. Sit by my phone. Rounds go. Knowing my ceiling was going to be undrafted free agent.
Right.
Yeah. Wasn't going to get drafted. Absolutely not. No way is anybody taking a chance on me with a draft pick. So I'm waiting for a rookie minicamp invite.
Right.
Rounds go on. Nothing. Draft's over. Nothing. I'm chat GPTing. When do minicamp invites start going out for the NFL? It'll be a few days. They still got to figure out their, the contracts for the rookies and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm fine.
So you don't call your agent, you ask ChatGPT.
I ask ChatGPT for it. That's my agent. Yeah. Yeah, so I do that. And then my agent calls me. He says, hey, man, they Dolphins, they were the last remaining team that was remotely interested in me. Said, hey, man, the Dolphins just filled their last rookie minicamp spot.
Right.
A guy with, your same measurables, but
production in college.
D1 had more production than you.
Right.
So I always say I was one spot away from rookie minicamp in Miami.
Right. But, I've told you time and time again, that's further than 99.8% of people that have gone. And so that's over. You started your job, you started your life. Is there any chance that you'll keep training and maybe go to another pro day at some point?
Man, I'm really focused on my job that where I'm at now.
Right.
I'm doing operations at a power plant here in Dale, Arkansas. I'm loving it. I'm loving the people I'm working with.
That's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I can say that in the same breath as I love who I work with.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the job. Right?
Yeah. And knowing how close I got with my abilities and with my production, that anybody can do it. So
right.
I'm thinking, I actually get quite a bit of time off with my job. So I'm thinking of once football season is done, I'm thinking about, doing some sprint training for kids,
right.
For high school kids, even college kids. If they want to come do some sprint training with me, I'll drive to them or we can meet somewhere. And I want to keep my body a slave to my mind.
That's fair. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to be a slave to my body.
Right.
That's what God tells us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I still want to stay mobile.
Right.
So I'm not saying I'm going to pursue training for combines or anything, but I do want to train just to stay ready for the opportunity.
Stay at your fighting.
Yeah, stay at my fighting weight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I 100% still have the mindset to do that.
At your fighting weight, what UFC fighter would you want to fight?
Nobody.
Nobody?
Nobody.
You're not getting in the octagon?
No, because those dudes. With my weight, I'm 180. Those dudes walk around at like 210.
Sure, it's fair.
Yeah, so
it's fair.
Not fighting any of those.
I think the last fight we got in was when I was 13 and you were 9 and you punched me in the eye. And I think that's when I quit being
that was our last fight together, yeah.
And I don't think we'll ever get in one again. Don't plan on that. No, don't plan on that.
I don't either, man.
Oh, man, we've talked a lot. We've talked a lot longer than I thought we would. We could sit here and talk forever. We talked a lot about football and a little bit about life. And, man, I thank you for doing this, on short notice.
Yeah. When you're living with the host, it's easy to
you do live down the hall.
Yeah,
you do live down the hall.
For those who don't know, I live 15 feet that way.
So he lives with me and my wife Taylor right now. He's got the shortest drive to work.
I do.
Yes,
yep.
but that's
10 minutes.
Man, I like my drive to work though. Yeah. I drive an hour, but I get awake. I get my coffee in me. I talk to the Lord.
Be at peace with yourself and with the Lord.
Absolutely. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a quick break, and then I'm gonna let our guests here stay on the question of the day segment with us and see what we get rolling right here.
Let's do it.
All right. Today's small business shout out for episode 4 of the Huddle podcast is my good friend and former youth pastor, Mr. Brian Riga. Mr. Brian Riga was a big role model of mine growing up in Truman, Arkansas. He helped lead me to Christ, helped me become a better man. Really cool story real quick before I give a shout out about his business. He was the statistician for my father when he was the head coach at Truman. And then he became the statistician for me when I was the head coach at Manila. So he's always been right there in my corner, so I felt like I had to shout out Mr. Riga. He is now a real estate agent with the Doty Real Estate Company out of Jonesboro, Arkansas. So, if you have any real estate needs, feel free to text or call Brian Riga at 870-340-6575 or rigatherealtor@gmail.com. Shout out to my good friend Brian Riga at Era Real Estate and Doty Real Estate. All right, back with the final segment of the In the Huddle podcast with Cain White and with Will White. Man, it's been an enjoyable conversation. It's been a long one. I thought we could go for forever. But, this is the first time I've done this. I'm gonna have you on the question of the day segment. Okay. So some of these questions may pertain to you. Some of them may not. So let's do this. If they pertain to you, let's go ahead and give an answer.
All right.
And since you're my brother, if it doesn't pertain to you, maybe just give your point of view on my potential answer.
Okay.
That's fair?
All right.
Yeah, because and one thing about Will, okay, he's always been completely honest with me on everything that I've ever done in life, good or bad. Yep. And so, been my biggest critic, but also one of my biggest fans. So I appreciate that about you. So, shout out to the Harding University Bisons. That's going to be our question of the day hat today. Yep. So, going to get this rolling real quick. Keep firing those things in there. If your question hasn't been answered yet, keep firing them away. Maybe we'll pull it out of the hat. All right, question 1. This comes from Mr. Gunnar Cook, one of my best friends. He was in my wedding.
Up in the booth with him Friday night.
You were up in the booth with him Friday night. Oh wow, this does pertain to us both.
Okay.
Who is your hero? Wow, I could go in multiple different directions with this, but I think the first thing that comes to my mind is you, Mom, and Dad are my heroes. I think that's who it is.
Yeah.
I want to live to make you all happy and to make our family proud and Mom has taught me so many life lessons and has been through adversities and taught me how to live and Dad's personality and carrying on the tradition of coaching in the family. Yeah. I truly loved seeing what he did growing up as a coach and then I think you're one of my heroes too. Seeing how you fought through adversity, kind of like Mom, but also your personality in a way too. So kind of like a fusion of Mom and Dad. So, those are my 3 heroes. Yeah. And I think that's the short answer.
And as much as that would be my answer, I'll go a different route.
Okay,
but it's still on the side of family. I'm gonna say Granddad and Pop.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, probably 2 of the most genuine men. I mean, the most God-fearing men. Nicest men anybody will ever meet in their life. Absolutely. And if I can, strive to be the way they were in their life, the way they were to their wives, the way they were to their children, I think I'm gonna be pretty good in my life.
Absolutely. I can agree with that too. I can say the same about those 2 gentlemen. I've got them tattooed on my arm. Yeah. I miss our grandfathers dearly.
Absolutely.
But they were very big in our race.
Yeah, For those who don't know the names, Willie Ed Bullock and Bob White. Absolutely.
2 absolute legends in our lives. And so I'll expand on that. I'll go outside of family. A hero that I have. I've always looked up to Mickey Ryan. Mickey Ryan, who now lives in Nashville, Tennessee. Growing up, when he would come around on the Sports Talk radio show, I looked at Mickey Ryan like larger than life. And the way he's led his family and the way he's gone about his work and taken so much pride in it and truthfully engulfed himself in moments. I look at Mickey Ryan as a hero.
That's awesome.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yeah. So, all right, question 2. I didn't read off who submitted the questions last episode, and I feel terrible about that. So I think I wrote all of them down. So, all right, this is from our good friend Mario Cifuentes out of Truman, Arkansas. Played high school ball with him.
Yeah.
He's become a great father himself.
Yeah.
He truthfully has. He said, "What's a coach that you admire, and what makes you admire them? Their persona, their play style, etc." I'll tell you what, I've always really, really liked PJ Fleck at Minnesota.
Okay.
His energy that he brings to his program. One thing that I stole from PJ Fleck, after every win, he runs in the locker room and dives into his team.
Yeah.
And if you've watched me as a head coach, and I'm sure you've seen this, at the end of every warm-up, we would punt the ball, and the whole team would cover the punt, and I'd get in a circle, and then I would kind of get the 50-yard line, kind of talk to myself a second, and then I would take off sprinting and dive into my team. So I was in a pregame.
It's awesome.
And so the energy he brings to his team, I've kind of always admired him. And then, play style. I don't really know if there's a certain coach play style that I copy exactly, but Paul Johnson at Georgia Tech, we talked about him earlier. I liked his play style and how he attacked things at Georgia Tech. Is there one for you, even though you're not a coach?
Yeah. I've never been on the coaching side of things for football, but a coach that I admire. I mean, hate to be a dead horse, but it's the entire Harding football staff.
That's fair.
I mean, what a group of guys. So, Coach Simmons harps on this the most. He's not coaching. He's not coaching you to be a football player. He's coaching you to be a husband. He's coaching you to be a father.
Absolutely.
And he's coaching you to get closer to God.
Absolutely. And that's what that's what matters.
And if you have those 3 things, football is just a gift.
That's right.
You get to go do it for fun.
Right.
If you don't make it the job, you get to go do it for fun. And that's what he made Harding football.
Right.
Honoring God.
Yes.
So
that's a fair answer. And I don't think you're beating that horse. I mean, that's why you have guests. You talk about what you want to talk about, and that's been a bulk of the conversation. But it's true stuff.
It is,
and I think it's Harding football may be relatively unknown to most of the outside world or the football world. So I feel like it's been good to talk about that because it deserves to be celebrated.
Yeah, if you're a college football fan and you don't know much about D2 football, I want you to go watch how Harding plays football because it's the hardest. It's the hardest playing players you'll ever watch, and because they're playing for each other and they're playing for Jesus Christ.
Absolutely, amen, brother. Amen. All right, last question, and we will wrap it up here with episode 4. All right, Will. Is this gonna be a football question or a non-football related question? What do you think?
We've gotten 2. Have we gotten 2? Well, no, we got the hero one. I think it'll be non-football.
Non-football related. Let's see. Is he correct? He is correct. And this is from Mr. Will Kennedy, who is the running backs coach at Central Arkansas.
Yes, he is.
I was his roommate when I was at the University of Arkansas. Yeah. He was the offensive graduate assistant. I may have mentioned this on a previous episode, but Will Kennedy and I, in the 2024 football season at the University of Arkansas, we were the only full-time coaches that were born in the state of Arkansas. He was born in Conway. I was born in Jonesboro. Obviously, was raised in Trenton. So, love me some Will Kennedy. Super proud of your new job, brother. Keep going. But his question was, what is the worst visiting locker room that you've ever been in at the high school or the college level? So I've read this one, and I've got a 2-part answer to this. And I'm not necessarily saying the locker rooms were the worst, but just the situation was the worst.
Yeah.
One, while I was at the University of Arkansas, it was definitely Missouri because it was the smallest. It had nice, areas for the kids to get dressed. But one, it's 22 degrees that day. It's snowing, and so we've got all the winter gear, all the extra things to get set up. You've got an operation of 150 people. in a room about the size of a basketball court, if not smaller.
Yeah.
And so that was not an ideal situation. We usually had chairs set up, or we had our own locker to sit in. That day, we just had our name on the wall with a sticker and a command hook with our clothes hanging on it. So it was tight quarters. Yeah. And then at the high school level, at Boonville High School in Boonville, Arkansas, in the second round of the playoffs, Mount Manila, they dress you. It has to be half a mile from the football field, which obviously teams set visiting opponents up, as tough as possible.
Yep.
We had a little bit of room to move around there, but my goodness, I was very, very, very specific about what time we went out to warm up, what time we returned back to the locker room, what time we went out, and we had to push everything up about 2.5 minutes to account for the walk. For the walk. So not trashing Boonville. Awesome place to watch a high school football game. Nice place, nice people. A top 10 small town program in the state of Arkansas, in my mind. Yeah. Just the walk to the field made it tough. So I'll semi-dodge that, but that's my answer.
Yeah, I ain't gonna dodge mine one bit.
Bring it.
Yeah, college at Oklahoma Baptist. It was a dorm room.
Seriously,
it was a dormitory.
Wow.
We were at the bottom floor of the dormitory. And you know how a dorm. I mean, you got the tight hallway, and then you got rooms. I mean, yeah, we have rooms for each position group, but you still got to do your athletic staff, your training staff,
right?
And then you got your snack room. You got to get all that accounted for. You bring a lot of stuff to a college football game.
And that's a question I got asked Friday night. I'm not trying to distract you from this, but a college football operation. The SEC level, huge.
Yeah.
Literal takes a village. And
Yeah.
so that's why I said Missouri, because of the tight quarters.
Yeah.
Even at the D2 level, I've seen the operation in Harding. Still a big operation.
Yeah. So we were in that dorm, in that dorm room.
Were the people living in the dorm at the time?
Oh yeah, we had kids walking downstairs, going to the bathroom, taking showers, and we're like, what is going on?
But that's gotta be dangerous.
I don't know.
Come on, Oklahoma Baptist. Step it up.
You had, I want to say we had 8 guys, in the dorm room together. Wide receivers and slots were in the same room together.
Wow.
Yeah. Wide receivers and slots were in the same room. And it was a long walk as well. So
Gotcha.
you had to walk across their practice field.
Gotcha.
So it was probably about a 300-yard walk.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's miserable.
Yeah. And then high school, Pocahontas.
Pocahontas.
Had you all the way on top of the hill.
Got to walk down the hill and up the hill.
Yep.
Back to your locker room.
Yep.
Yes. That was up there as well, just because of the situation.
Yes.
Not necessarily. No. I mean, there's benches, there's things.
It works. The structure works.
Right.
But not the location.
I was always worried about slipping in my cleats.
Yeah.
Walking up the hill. I always tried to walk in the grass.
And I remember one time at Pocahontas as well, we didn't even have a locker room. We were just by the visitor stands.
Right.
In that random field with the
the old practice field back there.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. The nicest, I've just got to plug this one. The nicest was probably at AT&T Stadium at Jerry World.
Yeah.
That was pretty nice. Mm-hmm. Pretty nice place to dress.
Yes.
Enjoy that one.
Mine was McKinney ISD.
Shout
High school field.
Shout out to the national championship.
High school field was the best, away locker room I've ever been in.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fair. I mean, for the national championship, you got to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
No
Have my name on it.
Yeah, and same at Jerry World.
Yeah.
Had a little. And seeing your name right there, you're like, this is where the Cowboys play, and I've got my own locker. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But, man, I love you so much. Thank you for spending time with me. I learned things about you today that I didn't know. Man, I hope people see that our bond is strong, and that and I hope it empowers people to be that same way with their families.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know it was short notice. I texted you this morning.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't a far trip for you.
No.
So, man, thank you so much. And this probably won't be the last time that we do this again. I'm sure that you'll be a guest again. You'll probably be my first repeating guest.
Yeah. Hopefully we still do the dual episode with Cole Keelan.
That's got to be coming soon, right?
The two guest episode with Cole Keelan.
That's Coach Keelan, that's got to be coming after you guys win that next national championship.
Mm-hmm.
So, brother, I love you.
I love you,
man. Thank you for everything.
Now, before I go, I just want to say, I believe in this 100%. I'm in your corner. If you need help with any of this, because I'm here for you.
Yes.
I do this stuff, guys. I'm able to to get behind the scenes and help out my brother. So
Yes,
I'm here for him. I'm here for everything it stands for. I love you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right.